What's up, y'all? I'm live from my new phone. Where the audio is crisp and the video is crisper. Life. Whose life is this? It's a life of somebody talk on a phone and people can hear me. It's a life of somebody who can upload a thumbnail and it actually uploads instead of crashing the whole phone. It's a life of somebody who doesn't get a full storage notification every time he tries to do anything. This is my new life with my new phone. And on top of that, it is an iPhone, which I never thought that I would get. But I ended up getting somehow, some way. I explained this to somebody who was like, oh, you switched to iPhone? The way how I explained it is in 2020, when everything became remote and I got my first remote job ever, I was given an iPhone to do the job. And I was like, why would you give me an iPhone? I had a corporate iPhone. And it was the bane of my existence because I had to learn how to use Safari and I had to learn about I don't even know what it's called. Whatever the Apple Store. I don't know if that's what it's called. And I had to learn some things about the interface, and then I had to learn about iMessage and stuff. And I was like, this sucks. But then I kind of got used to it. And then I was using the Android and the Apple every day. I would use the Apple for work, and then I would use the Android for personal. Then I was like, this iPhone takes better pictures and videos than my Android phone. So I started taking the work phone with me when I would go to an event, a fitness event, or like a party or whatever I would take it for. And I would take the work phone and take all my media stuff with the work phone and fill up the work phone with all that stuff. And then I started FaceTiming a few people with my work phone, even though I wasn't supposed to do that. But I don't have that job or phone anymore. So allegedly, this is what happened at my last couple of jobs. Then last year, yeah, I got another work phone, another work iPhone that was again better than my Galaxy S23. So I was kind of already sort of dabbling into the iPhone world before I even got a personal one. And then I got a personal iPhone, the iPhone 13. So I already had an iPhone. I bought that and I had one of those Total by Verizon plans on it that's like $30 a month. And I was using the iPhone in that case like when I was doing my separate peer counseling business, which I pretty much don't do anymore. But the reason I don't do it anymore is because I have so much to do at work. Every time that comes out of my mouth, I can't believe I'm saying that I'm not doing my personal business because I have so much to do at work. But the reason why I sacrifice the personal business for what I do at work is because I get overtime hours. I'm still pretty much doing the same thing as I was doing on my own, except I get overtime hours for that, which is time and a half. And I don't have to worry about people being like, I don't have the money to pay you, so I can't do the sessions, because it's all billed through Medicaid. So it's the perfect situation for me because it just kind of picked up where the peer counseling services left off. But the only thing is, it's now obviously limited. I can't offer that to people who are out of New York, in other states and stuff. But in terms of my area where I live in New York, I can actually refer people myself, and I've never had something like that. but now I'm the intake coordinator. So I am in charge of the intakes. So if somebody I knew that was in my area needed these services, I could plug them in myself. And that's legal. Hi, Janet. Hi, Charicity. Hi, Missy Miss. So, yeah. New phone, who this? I love the way it looks, and I love the way that it captures everything and the audio and all that stuff. I have to get all my apps because Android does not make a seamless transition over to an Apple phone. So I have to get all my apps together, and then I have to figure out, what Apple specific apps I'm gonna download and stuff. But it's okay. It can do the basics of what it needs to do right now, which is answer phone calls, go live on YouTube. What else do I need? And then I think I got Instagram on there. Yeah. So honestly, I'll be honest. I was looking through all the stuff on Twitter. I was looking through my Facebook groups, and I know that some people are interested in what's been going on with the feeds, but I haven't even really seen anything to pique my interest enough to make me want to flip them on. I will probably flip them on at my usual time, which is probably late night, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I don't know. And I'm going to flip it on and I'm going to see what's up with that. But all that seems to be happening really, okay, the most interesting thing to me that's happening is the Mickey and Ashley kind of rift. But the thing is, I think Ashley is playing it smarter than Mickey, because Mickey is kind of just sticking to the group that she already had. And let's see here, I had this user on the channel. Mickey is kind of sticking to the group of people that she already had. Whereas Ashley has kind of been branching out and forming this side group. So her side group, I don't know everybody who's supposed to be in it, and I don't even think she officially has a group, but I just know that it seems like she definitely, Will seems to be like her number one. And then she also wants Rachel, she wants Jimmy to stay. And then kind of on the outskirts, I think is where she puts Zach and Ava. What is that, 6 people? I think that's kind of the 6 people that she's primarily trying to work with, just based on everything that I've seen and heard. Of branching out to these people and having conversations with each and seeing where everybody stands. Basically, because this is the thing that I say that you always have to do on Big Brother. You have to find your person, your core, your number one, right? And then once you found your number one, you start forming an outer circle. And then from there, the outer circle is just meant to be extra padding and protection to win comps. And when they win comps, your relationship with them keeps your inner circle safe, basically. And I think that she started off slow with that, really slow, but she's been picking up steam, and I am impressed. Color me impressed, ma'am, because I wanted to like Ashley from the beginning, but then I didn't, because I was like, what are you doing in this game? But I think I misjudged her. She was just somebody who needed the opportunity to get her teeth into things and start to understand what she needs to do a little bit better. And she's been a standout to me currently over Mickey and Morgan, whereas she was behind them before. Let's see here. I love my iPhone and how seamless it is. I have mine all aesthetic and my apps have different shades of purple. Nice. Yeah, I really haven't had the time to play around with the phone and figure anything out just yet, but um, I like it so far, I have to admit. As a lifetime Android user who said he would never in life switch over to an iPhone, I switched over to an iPhone. But like I said, I didn't switch. It wasn't a cold switch. It wasn't like a cold switch from an Android to an iPhone where I never used an Apple product before and then I just switched over just like that. It was something where I have AirPods, I have a MacBook, I have an iWatch, and I had two different work phones that were iPhones, and then I had a personal phone that was an iPhone, except it was not a phone that was on. It was on a phone. It was a phone that was on like a month to month, a cheap month to month plan. It didn't have unlimited data or anything like that. So I primarily just used it to store photos and videos, and also when I was doing my personal business, I was using it to call. I was using it to call clients. Okay. Purple is my favorite color. I like the color purple. That shirt that I got the other day to wear the Kara's event, well, not Kara's event, but the Five Boys event that Kara was one of the headliners for, that was purple. And then I found one of my dad's purple ties. Ooh, killer combination. Killer. When that event said purple, I was like, I haven't had a purple shirt in so long. This gives me an excuse to get myself another purple shirt. I'm telling you, that's how I know that my depression has been lifting. Because when I'm feeling really depressed and I have to go somewhere, the thought of putting together clothing and color combinations does not interest me. It's more like, oh, I gotta get it together. Oh, I gotta be around these people and get it together. That's more what I'm thinking. When that event came up, I wasn't like, I gotta get it together. It was an anxiety, but it's the normal kind of anxiety I feel, which is more like, all right, we gotta figure out how to get this together, but we're gonna get it together. It was more of that feeling for me. And I wake up in the morning and thinking about these combinations like my dad used to do. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe a combination of my new position, the weather being what it is, the weather breaking a little bit and not being so blazing hot right now, and the exercise that I'm doing. Let's see. It does. Hi D. Hi Shanna. Yeah, so I mean, this time period between like Monday evening and like Wednesday episode is always a drag for me. There's things that you can pull, that you can find like side stories that are kind of interesting, like the Zach and Ashley thing that's kind of popping out of nowhere in a sense, but it's interesting because Ashley has been talking to Zach from the beginning. And I think in the first episode, Zach was talking about how Ashley is beautiful, whatever. He said the same thing about Lauren as well. But Ashley has been talking to Zach a lot about Lauren. Then all of a sudden, it looked like the conversations that Zach has been having with Ashley have been getting a little friendlier and a little flirtier. But I said to everybody was like, oh no, he's stuck on Lauren. And I was like, no, he's got his options in there, which is Lauren, Ashley, and Morgan. And the one that I feel like, I could be wrong, he's a pastor's kid. Like, that means something. No offense. My dad's father was a pastor, and my dad wasn't officially a pastor, but he preached often. He did preaching, even though he wasn't an ordained minister. But whatever, I don't know. That doesn't. When I'm thinking of him saying he's a pastor's kid, it's because when I turn on my Paramount Plus and I go to the Big Brother section and click it, the two things that I see first are Kelly saying, "I'm a farm kid with farm kid grit," and then him being like, "I'm a pastor's son." And I'm so annoyed with hearing those two intros. I wish there was a way for me to skip right to the feeds without hearing those intros, because they're very annoying to me. But anyways, my whole point of that, I say all that to say, I always feel like with him, he's going to be somebody who, the person he probably ends up pursuing the most or the hardest is the one who ends up there with him the longest. Now, if he goes first before all three of those ladies, I assume that the one he's going to try to hit up is Lauren. That's what I assume. Like, Zach gets out before Lauren, before all three of them, he tries to go for Lauren outside of the house. I think that if Zach stays in the house, Lauren's out, and let's say Morgan and Ashley are still in the house, I think that his preference would be Ashley. And then in some event that Ashley and Lauren are out and he's left with Morgan, that's an iffy one. Because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like her personality has turned him off. I don't think that their personalities are compatible in a relationship sense. In a friend sense, sure, but I don't think he wants her like that. I'm walking, but honestly, I'm slacking because I'm not supposed to be walking. I'm supposed to be doing either the bike, the Stairmaster, or the elliptical. But I woke up too late today, so. But you know what I'm going to try to do? I'm going to try to get up really early in the morning tomorrow because I have physical therapy at 7 a.m. I'm going to try to get up for the gym at 5. And before I get to my weight training, I'm going to try to do like 30 minutes on the treadmill, not the treadmill. I'm going to try to do 30 minutes on the Stairmaster. Then 30 minutes on the Stairmaster. And then then I probably have to squeeze my workout into 30 minutes. Then I get home. Then I go to my physical therapy. Oh, my day is so packed. Because after physical therapy, I have to immediately pick up one of my clients and then go to the Department of Social Services and spend I don't know how long there. Then from there, I have to go into the office where I have things to do in the office. It's a huge mess. It's a huge mess and it's chaotic. But you know what? It's a schedule that I created, and it's something of my choosing. I also wanted to mention another reason that I feel like in a good mood today is because I had this amazing group. I mean, the group was a group. I volunteered just because of how much I enjoy this. I volunteered to keep doing 2 of my groups with my old position at the job. which is probably unheard of, and some people would probably call it stupid. Like, why would you add an extra responsibility onto your life? You know why? Because when I first got my mental health diagnosis, I was a part of groups like that. So I remember like coming out of the hospital and then getting assigned a therapist. The therapist was like, hey, we have this mental health rehabilitation program that exists where like-minded people come together and learn various coping skills and whatever to help get them through life and reintegrate them into society. And I was like, huh? I never heard of anything like that, but I guess I'm willing to try it. So I remember I tried it. I was very reserved when I first got in there because talking about my mental health at that time when I was 24, 25, talking about my emotions in general was not a thing. That was not a thing. So sit in those groups real quietly, listening and observing everybody. Then I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm comfortable enough to speak a little bit. Then I started speaking a little bit. And then I found myself getting through my own issues. And then I started listening more to other people's issues and giving them advice. And then one day, one of the group leaders comes up to me and says, Mark, you know, I think that you would make an excellent peer counselor. I said, what's that? He said, that's what I do. He said, that's the same thing that I'm doing right now. He said, taking my personal issues and struggles, using them as a tool to be able to tell people that there's hope for a recovery and to live a meaningful life, so on and so forth. And I was like, nah, I'm not trying to do that. And he said, well, you're doing it right now. You're just not getting paid for it. I was like, but it's not a job to me. It's just something I do with my peers. And he's like, yeah, peer counselor. So long story short, I became a peer counselor. I was the first peer counselor that ever worked in that clinic. Now they have, I think when I went back and asked, I want to say one of my old bosses that I work with there told me they have 6. In 2015, when I started doing it, they had 1, and the 1 was me. And I became a peer counselor there because I was doing it for free, and I advocated for it to become a paid position, and they made that happen for me. So I will always hold that as a stripe, a badge of honor, that I was able to make that happen. And then from there, you know, I was still attending the groups, and I started leading groups, and then I started leading a social program where we did like a karaoke night, an open mic night. When I go back, I see all these things that I started from the ground up, and they are thriving at this point. And while those people who are there right now don't remember me, the staff does, you know, because some of the staff from when I was there is still there. 10 years plus I've known some of these people. And I know that my imprint made an impact. Anyways, that group made all the difference. Those groups made all the difference to my life, was my point of all that big, long story. And so now when I got back into this position of having to lead groups again initially, I thought of it as a punishment. Because I said, I've come so far, and I've gone into offices, I work for huge multi-billion-dollar companies, and now here I am back at some grassroots non-profit organization, sitting in these groups, babysitting. That's how I felt at first. That's just my honest thoughts. I was like, I don't want to. It's like you become some professor at Harvard or something, and then you go back to that high school, that high school that Morgan Freeman went to and lean on me to straighten up the students. That's how I felt. I was like, man, this is so far beneath me at this point. But what changed it for me is it made me realize I was starting to let the field of social work, mental health, or whatever, eat me alive, to where I forgot about those reasons why I started in the first place. And this place was such a humbling reminder of that, because you can't halfway do something where you're surrounded by people who are, a lot of them in very early stages of their recovery, and they're looking at you like, I don't care what degree you have, I don't care where you went to school, I don't care what job you had before you came here. I just care about when I look you in the face, do you show any kind of care or concern about me as a person? And to fast forward to today, I had a few people tell me today, a couple of clients tell me today that they said they're so glad that I ended up there at this job. They were like, when you talk about the stories of where you've been, where you've come from, and where you are now, it gives me the hope and the inspiration to feel like I can go from where I am right now and get to where you are. That was such a powerful thing for me to hear, to be honest with you, because in all these 10 plus years that I've been doing this work, the only thing that I ever seem to hear is from staff, managers, supervisors, you're not doing enough, you need to put more notes in, your notes aren't good enough, blah, 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 blah. Always, that's always what I'm hearing. So it's the reason why I've stayed in this field, really, because I've said I'm leaving this field so many times, but the feedback that I get from the clients, like, that touched me, honestly. Even just trying to repeat that, I was having a hard time getting that out at the end, because to have somebody tell you, even like one or two people, to tell you that just being yourself, you've made that kind of impact in their life, is a huge thing, especially in a field that is notoriously underpaying the staff. Anyways, I know that was a long off-topic thing, but listen, I spent a year telling you how much I hate my job and how depressed I was. So I think having positive feelings, I should be sharing those just as often. PK kids, they have a bad reputation, as a matter of fact. PK kids, pastors kids. Pastors kids are the ones that were always told that they're not allowed to do anything in their childhood. You can't do this, you can't go here, you can't have that, you can't do this. Then when they get out on their own, they're wilding and doing everything. Back in the day, it was it was in my household, it was very taboo to talk about feelings. And I've talked to my sister and others about this often, that EQ was not a thing. I hear you, big dog. EQ was not a thing. Oh, he stopped barking at me. That's funny. Let's see. What a great explanation of the job of a peer counselor. A peer counselor is honestly not a job. Like, it is a job, but it doesn't feel like a job. I only remember it's a job at the end of the day when I've had all these meaningful conversations, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta sit at a computer and document. Because the golden rule of social work is if you didn't document it, it didn't happen. Somebody better put that on my coffin. If you didn't document it, it didn't happen. Because I am so sick of hearing that. I believe it was your destiny. Thanks, D. Because when I got into this field, trust me when I say this was not my intent. It was chosen for me. You know how in like Toy Story, the claw, when they had the aliens in the vending machine, and the claw, they were like, the claw picks your destiny. That's what happened. The claw reached down and pulled me out of the vending machine and dropped me in the mental health bin. Because I had someone on the phone tell me today too. They were like, it was during an intake, and they said, Mark, I was trying to get my daughter into this program for the longest, and when I finally connected with someone, it was you. And she said, you're so calming and thorough and thoughtful with everything that we went through with this intake, right? And she said, I think that you were the person that I was supposed to talk to, because the other people that I was talking to before were not so patient and kind and did not take the time to make sure that they thoroughly understood her needs. And that's the thing. Intake coordinators. I was just having a conversation with somebody today, and about a person who was doing intake coordination and telling me how hard of a job it is. Granted, I will say it's still early on, so that means that there's still going to be more work that they're giving me to do. So I don't have the full depth of my line of work or what I'm going to be doing with it. But I'll tell you, intakes is very easy for me. Intakes is probably really hard for somebody who lacks empathy, because you just want to get to the information. Give me your health card information. Give me your list of your doctors that you speak to. Give me this, and your diagnosis and this and that. And they just want to get things down and they don't want to waste time. Whereas for me, when I sit down to do an intake, I'm not just like, let me get the information. It's a whole conversation. And sometimes at the end of that conversation, I'm like, I don't think that this is the best fit for what you need. I had a couple such conversations. They took 45 minutes to an hour. And I'm not someone who wants to press somebody and put them into a program that they don't want or need. And then I could get them in, and then we could meet and bill and bill and bill. And then you ask them, what is your satisfaction like for the program? Well, I expected it to do this, this, and this. And it never did that. And I just put them in to reach a quota. I think I just explained my whole experience in the mental health care system in a nutshell. Is that I understand that there's numbers and billings components and all that. But my primary focus is impact. And I want to do things that are impactful to people. And sometimes that's not the things that ensure the company the most money. I'll tell you one thing, in a couple of weeks, I think I have already doubled our clientele. And it's going to keep going like that, because I've started to go around, make presentations about our program. Listen, how great does this sound? A program where if you have life goals, things you want to do, learn, skills, coping skills, all that kind of stuff. Somebody can come out and meet you and help you with these things in person, not just tell you what the best thing to do them with you. You want to get out and start a gym routine? I can actually go to the gym with the client, help them with their workout, and work out with them. If they need help getting a library card, they've never had one before, a driver's license, we can review the book for the driver's license, or we can go in the library together and I can walk through the library with them, help them fill out the paperwork. This sounds like a lot, but it can be a lot for people with behavioral health disorders and or learning disabilities, because a lot of times people have both, you know. I think people who have been through things are so much better equipped to have the compassion it takes to do that job. And you know, I've had staff, listen, the same way how I tell you the strangers want to tell me about their story, I've had staff who are working in higher positions than me, much higher positions than me, listen to me at certain events or pass by when I'm doing one of my groups and hear the things that I'm saying. And they're like, you know, Mark, I'm also a peer and I wish I could do what you do, but within my role and title, I have professional boundaries where I'm not allowed to say those things or be that person. And I'm like, that's exactly why when people say, why haven't you become a licensed clinical social worker yet so you could get to the money? It's for that exact reason, because I like being the person who's able to listen to what somebody says. I remember at my last job, somebody was talking to me about their hospitalization, and they were giving me this passionate story about what happened to them and how they were getting forced to take medications that they didn't need and all this other stuff. And then they stopped. She stopped and she was like, what do you even know about that, Mark? You're a case manager. You don't know anything about that. And I was like, actually, yes, I do. 2013, I was hospitalized and I was put on a medication regime that I didn't agree with. There was the times that we got our foods, the times we got our medication, the whole shebang. I was locked in there. There's nothing I could do about it. I didn't get any fresh air. They made me involuntary, tell me I couldn't leave until they determined I'm not a danger to myself and others. And I'm like, what is this? How did I get here? And that person was so taken aback by the fact that they told me, what you know about that? And I was like, I know everything about that because I lived it. And then I'm like, I went to a day treatment program for mental health. I did 10 years plus of therapy and several years with a psychiatrist or a nurse practitioner as well. So I know so much. I know so much about all of that. When you feel like you're making a difference, it's everything. And it's funny. It's not even just like. It's not even just when you feel like you're making a difference. It's when somebody tells you. Like, people telling me that makes me feel so good. Because I kind of assume that I'm always making an impact. But when I'm not hearing anybody say that, I'm like, I'm not getting any feedback. Ooh, I reached my 10,000 steps. Let's go. I'm not getting any feedback. So that could just be me thinking that I'm doing so good for these people, but they might not think that themselves. But when they tell me, I told somebody said to me a couple of weeks ago, they were like, Mark, I know that I wish I could just give you some money or get you a raise or whatever, but I just had to tell you, I just had to give you just a genuine thank you for all the things that you've been doing for me since you got here. And they've meant so much to me. They've helped me with my depression and whatever they were telling me. And they led with, I wish I could get you more money or a bigger title or whatever. And I said to that person, and I meant it, I was like, sometimes a genuine thank you can feel like $1,000,000. Because if there's two words that people who receive mental health services are allergic to saying, it's thank you. It's thank you. So few people say it. And they might feel thankful. They might feel like he knows, or he or she knows that I'm thankful for that, but they don't say it out loud. So you're not intaking that. It's just like, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that. You get it for them. You help them through it. You talk to them on the phone for an hour. You help them solve a complicated problem. And they just walk away. And you're like, well, okay. All right then. So that person telling me thank you that day, I think that was a day where I was feeling compassion fatigue, and I was feeling like, does what I do matter? So hearing the person say that was huge. Anytime I hear it, it's huge. Thoughtful like this makes you feel really good. Thank you for sharing these stories. It comes a long way. Sounds like, and they're lucky to have your expertise, knowledge, and care. I worked in a child adolescent unit of a psych ward for a while, so I'm very familiar with documentation. Hate it. This job is quite honestly the least documentation I've ever had. Don't let anyone hear me say that. Allegedly. Because coming from an insurance company and then a hospital, ooh, those are two places that are heavy on the documentation. Especially the insurance company. They were super heavy on the documentation. I felt so stressed. The documentation requirement actually outweighed the job. And it's like a huge reason why I left. I'm Ma's evil twin, Ma Cass, who escaped from the basement. Get back down to my basement. I guess to me, I only really feel like I'm making the difference. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like when I hear the feedback, and I know that one of my most influential therapists that I ever had always told me about self-validation. And self-validation is a beautiful thing, right? It's a beautiful thing when you're talking about your personal accomplishments, right? Like for an example, the self-validation that we were discussing was, the self-validation that we were discussing was my parents at that time not expressing a large amount of happiness for me becoming a peer specialist, because they were like, you went to school, you got a 4-year degree, what does being a peer specialist have to do with anything, right? And the therapist I was working with at that time was like, I know that it would be nice to hear your parents say, it's so beautiful and wonderful that you're a peer specialist. But she was like, it could be a case that they literally just don't know. If you said that you were a psychotherapist or a psych RN, psychiatrist or a social worker or whatever, they know those things because they've seen those things before, but they literally just might not connect with it because they don't know what a peer specialist is. And I was like, that's a bogus answer. And then she was just like, what if you spend your whole life waiting for somebody to tell you you're doing a good job or you did something good before you feel proud of it? And I was like, you do bring up an interesting conundrum, ma'am. And so she said, like, practice reframing. Matter of fact, I'm mixing in. I realized I'm mixing in some therapy work and some life coaching that I got, but that's fine. If there's one thing that I have done in my lifetime, it is do a ton of self-work. So I've gotten the things that I know and say now from a large variety of sources. So I started to reframe things that were successes that I attached to what my family thinks of those things. And I started to view my life differently, but yet when it comes to clients and working in the field, it's just like my YouTube page. If I was to get on YouTube every day and nobody ever said, I like your page, I appreciate the things you say, I honestly would be like, what am I doing it for? I don't need a page if it's not impacting anybody. And it might not even mean that it's not impacting anybody. It might just mean that they might be thinking, everyone else probably tells him they appreciate him. Or maybe they're just not an expressive person. You know, maybe there's somebody who's a silent supporter. Because I've had people like that on my channel before who will be like, hey, Mark, I don't say anything often, but I'm just dropping a comment to let you know that you helped me through such and such tough time. And I probably won't be commenting again for a while, but I just wanted to say that now. And I'm like, really? That's kind of the same way it happens at my job, because this person who gave me this compliment today, they talk to me, but they're never like, they talk to me, but they're never like, it means so much to me that you're at this job or whatever, or anything like that. I guess, hi, Charicity. You're getting some bonus hours right now, because, not bonus hours, bonus minutes, because I'm at 10,862 steps. My goal was to get to 10,000. I did 862 extra, and I probably have about 500 to 600 more steps before I arrive at my destination. All right. My validation exists from other people because I can't even trust myself. I see your post on TikTok got a lot of likes. I know, right? I disappeared from TikTok, and then Shanna suggested that I get back on TikTok. I made one post. I'm not sure where it's at right now, but the post got like 6,000 views in one day. So I have other stuff that I need to post on TikTok. Maybe now that I have this phone, I can give TikTok another try. It's just that whole 10,000 subscriber requirement that gets me. Because like I said, I've never had 10,000 subscribers on anything. You can total up my Facebook followers, whatever platforms on social media I've had, my Instagram followers, my YouTube followers on both pages, and my old page that had millions of views. None of that is going to add up to 10,000 subscribers, but the day that I could figure out these algorithms is the day that, I don't know, maybe God just wants me to be a little humble, because it's humbling to feel like you have so much value to give, and then you get on these platforms and you're like, why does my video have 100 views and this other one has 15,000? Math ain't mathing sometimes. But I don't think about that. That's the reason why I'm able to keep doing what I do, because there was a time early on when I was telling y'all I was about to leave. It was because I said the views have to be a certain amount for me to keep going. And then I kind of gave that up because I said, hey, it's a hobby that I enjoy. It's kind of a decompression for me, you know, like the least stressful thing of my day most of the time is talking about reality TV. And right now I don't have a therapist, so frankly, I feel like sometimes when I get on here like now and spend 30, 40 minutes just talking about my life, it's because I'm getting therapy. I'm getting therapy from my chat. Let me see. Final step prediction 11,365. I'm probably almost at that at this point. Yeah, I'm at 11,200 already, so I'll be at 11,365 before I even get to the stairs. I think I'm pretty good at looking in the mirror and assessing and being proud and looking and good about who's looking back, but still require validation, wondering if impacting others sometimes. What phone do I got? I got an iPhone 14 Plus, which is still way more solid than my Samsung Galaxy 23 FE, which was a newer phone than the 14 Plus. But this phone is still like extremely solid. The more you post, the more people see it and start following you. I tried. On TikTok, I tried. I went live on TikTok a bunch of times, and I'd be sitting there staring at myself in the face. I'd get like 10 viewers, and they would be like, oh, put on such and such music or I'm leaving, or you look like Gideon, or yo, Kanye West, what's up, dude, Jesus walks. And I'm like, I feel like my IQ is lowering every second that I'm on this app. But I see a bunch of people that make a bunch of money on TikTok. It's hard for me. But I know that once if I got to a point where I was making money from it, I'd learn to love it. So glad that you didn't quit YouTube. Yeah, I almost did. And I even said at the beginning of this season, this could be my last season. But I think I am breaking out of that mindset. I think that being an online presence, I don't know what platform it's going to be, but it's something that I enjoy doing. So there could come a day when I become more successful at it, but it wouldn't mean that I disappear. It would just mean that my platform changes and, the means. The means and the mode of how I get things done changes. I had this weird vision in my head, right, from attending so many reality TV events. The conversations that I have with these people when I go, not the fans, but the actual cast. even though you guys have seen like the 10, 11, 12 interviews, however many it is that I've done, there's so much more than that. There's so many more conversations that I have that don't go on my camera. And they're great conversations. And for the most part, I don't share them because I don't feel comfortable being that person who has these personal conversations with these people, and then it's not an interview and they didn't give me permission to share, and then I'm sharing all these things. But I would love to be that person who follows the house guests out of the house and is able to help them, because a lot of them are like, yo, these edits did me dirty. Like these conversations that I've had with Kirsten, ooh, man. I have to hit her up, by the way. She talks to me probably more candidly than anyone when it comes to production type of stuff. And one conversation that I had with her made me afraid to even ask her certain things. Like, this interview has been pending for 2 years, but I sit here based on things that she told me, and I'm like, ooh. Let me see. So glad you're coming up on the For You page. That's what's up. Actually, when I log in with my music and mental health page, I am starting to see this page pop up in the recommendation or the recommended section more often. Yeah, it can be important, but I'm also not really, I don't have the bandwidth. Is a joke. It's not a joke. It's something that I had a tense conversation with a supervisor of mine at a past job where she was trying to clock every hour of my day because I told her, so we had this requirement to start from 0, and we were supposed to build up to a caseload of 35 from 0 by cold calling. So I started cold calling to get these clients, and I was up to about 20, a little more than 20 from 0, which I thought was a big accomplishment already. But every week was like, you're not at 35, you're not at 35, you're not at 35. And I said, well, you know what? It's hard to get to 35. It's hard to get one person that you call them randomly on the phone. They don't know how you got their number. And you're like, hi, I'm calling from your insurance company. First of all, immediately, most of them hang up because they think they owe a bill. Secondly, they're like, who are you and how did you get my information, and are you even legit? Because we got a cell phone, but the caller ID does not say such and such insurance. It's just the number that shows up. So I'm like, this is a much harder thing to do than you're making it sound. And she goes, well, let's see how your day looks. Okay, so you get up in the morning, 8 o'clock you log in. It takes no more than about 15 to 30 minutes to go through all your emails from last night and today. And then from there, you get to making your calls. You have about 60 people to call. And then you make your calls. And if only 20 of the 60 are picking up, each call is only supposed to be 15 minutes. And then maybe like half of them pick up. And she had it all lined up. And then you have 2 15-minute breaks that will happen here, here, here. And then you have a lunch break that's 30 minutes that's going to happen here. And then so then what could happen is, if you need to get 15 more people, you can call 150 people in order to get those 15. And then it's going to be very simple. But here was the thing with that. When you get a referral, the referral is now part of your caseload. It's just an inactive part of your caseload. And what I mean by that is, my caseload would say, if I had 150 people, it would say 150 cases, 20 active. And with those 130 that you're calling that aren't picking up, you have to document every single one of those people that you tried to call and they didn't pick up. You had to write a note saying that you called, you left a voicemail. Then we had a protocol where you had to mail out a letter. You had to document that you mailed out a letter. Then if you couldn't reach them still, you got to look in the system and see when the last time they saw their doctor, the therapist, whoever, call the office and try to get the number from the office. Document that. So 120 extra people might have represented 300 to 400 notes. So it wasn't that simple of a breakdown, but she put it in very simplistic terms and says to me, so as you can see, you have the bandwidth to do a lot more than what you're doing. Ooh, that pissed me off. Bad. Because I was actually working very hard with the people that I had on the caseload. And then I was working hard because it was almost like telemarketing trying to get the other people. So I was like, I don't have the bandwidth. I was the audacity of this lady. But if there's one thing that I have learned how to do over the years, when something really burns me, gets to me like that, I find a way to flip it and change my circumstances. So in this case, right, the way that I was flipping it is that now when somebody asks me something and they're like, Mark, I need your advice, I need your help, I need money, I need this, I need whatever it is. If I don't have the money, if I don't have the emotional capacity to listen to their problem at that moment, if I don't have whatever it is that it takes to get them whatever it is that they need, I say, I don't have the bandwidth. And they're like, the bandwidth? Why would you be saying the bandwidth? I'm like, I know why I'm saying the bandwidth. Because now it runs through my head and I make it a joke for myself. Because that person was a joke. If you ever watch any of my videos, you are a joke. I mean, I doubt that she would ever find her way to my page because she is no longer at that company, largely because of me, because I proved why you were a joke. And even though the company never validated my proof and my evidence, your layoff was enough to show me that that I was right. I don't do those other platforms. Bro, the other night when I told you, you did get me good, but you got me good because I was very tired also. Because I literally just watched Adrian go out of the house a couple hours before you said that. And then I was drowsy and falling asleep. And I'm like, oh, shoot, Adrian is HOH. And then Ma tells me afterwards, Adrian just got evicted. And I was like, oh, yeah, I just watched that. Why in the world did I think Adrian got evicted? I mean, did I think Adrian won HOH when he just got evicted and I just watched it a couple hours ago? That was crazy. This is my first iPhone. This is my first official iPhone. That's what I was saying at the beginning of this live. But my iPhone was on its, my Android was on its last leg for like 2 years. And because I had been slow transitioned into the iPhone world with having 2 corporate iPhones for work for 2 different companies, I was like, yeah, maybe I'm gonna switch over. And I switched over. This is my first day. iPhones beat Samsung all day. Smart wife. I'm gonna start doing this as well. I'll see you all tomorrow evening. I gotta go in and settle in too. Okay, so I'm making my last circle back to the crib. Shout out all my dogs at the crib. I've been on here for an hour. My phone battery is like 80%. I had this phone on all day. The last time I charged the phone was last night. and I used the phone all day at work. I used it for Google Maps. I asked Siri a bunch of questions, like phone call, whatever, whatever. And then I got on live. I did a live earlier today and a live now, which both probably total to an hour and a half plus. And I'm still at 80% battery. Like, I could use this phone for a week apparently before it dies, depending on what I'm doing. Probably longer than that. I'm using battery draining apps. Yeah, Wednesday, I'm looking forward to the episode. Like Ma was saying last time, I hope it's a to be continued, that we see more of the actual reactions, the real reactions of Riley, because I don't want the edit to protect anyone. I don't. It will, I'm sure it will, but I wish it didn't. I wish that the edits would let us see their whole ass so that they can come out. I feel like that's punishment enough. That's what I've always said. I stopped because there's this live band that plays live music. Ooh. I'm gonna pass by there so you guys can see, because at least I don't think that they're gonna ding me for a cover band. Yeah, I feel like don't kick them out of the house unless it's something crazy, but show us everything. And it's like punishment enough for you to go out of the house with everyone knowing the way that you behaved in the house. That's how I feel. Mine is on 80% as well. We are twinning. I have an iPhone 2, mine is 71%. Oh my God, charge it. Ass. That's a random comment. Ass. All right. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, old man, to try to run me over. Appreciate you. Okay. I've passed by here so many times, but I have never gone in. But these like cover bands are amazing. Hold on. See, I don't even know the song, but I love a live singer with a guitar. I'm so sad that I never learned how to play that guitar. I bought a guitar, and I was sure that I was going to just learn that little guitar, well, that big guitar. Right. I was sure that I was going to learn that beautiful guitar, and I got so frustrated, and then I sold the guitar, and I feel like a failure at life. Everything else I can reframe in my life except for selling that guitar, because I wish that I had just tried again. I wish that I had just gotten some guitar lessons, because I tried to teach myself on YouTube like I did with the ukulele. And after a while, I was like, F this guitar, and I took it right back and sold it, and I got way less than it cost originally. On top of that, I didn't even get my same money back. I paid good money for that guitar and got average money in return for it. It's not only 4 chords. Are you walking in your own neighborhood? Yeah. All right. I am close. Let's see how many steps. Who wants to guess how many steps I am? Because I'm going to turn this off before I get to my steps. Right before I get to my steps. Let's see. Let's see which one of you can guess. Ma says, for context, I think about 15 minutes ago or so, I was at 11,230 something. So Ma's guess is that I did 1,000 steps since then. 12,345. If nobody else guesses, I'm just going to get to my spot and give you the number. 13,330. This feels like a Big Brother comp right now. Closest to the number without going over wins the Mindful Reality HOH. We got 2 guesses so far, because I'm about to stop in the next 10 seconds. And then I'm going to wait for an extra minute to see if anyone else guesses. And then I'm going to just tell y'all the number and go inside. Cass guess. Cass is probably doing her Cam impression where she jumps in and is like, hey guys, I'm here. And then just disappears and never comes back. That's what it seems like Cass is doing right now. Right, Cass? Wash. Brendan Small lied to me. Would you consider going to Turtle Club with me? Do I know what Turtle Club is? No. So I wouldn't consider going to something that I don't know what it is. If you explain to me what Turtle Club was, maybe. I'm sweating. I do that on Ed's podcast. Janet Johnson says 12,666. That's very specific. Wow, that's within that's within 300. That's like a little over 300 more than Ma's guess. So let's hope it's not close. To be honest with you, I shouldn't even give my guess. I'll give my guess. I'll wait until another 20 seconds. And then if nobody puts anything in the chat, then I'm going to give my guess. Right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. It takes me approximately 1 hour to do 5,000 steps. So that means every half hour is about 2,500 steps. No, I'm wrong. I'm lying. In about 1 hour, I do about 7,000 steps. So in about half an hour, I do like 3,500 steps. And I did about 25 minutes. So I would go with about 2,800 more steps than when Mom made her first guess. So when she made her guess, I was like 11K. Add 2,800 to 11K. 12K, 13K, and like 800. So my guess would probably be like in about 13,800 if my math is correct, but it could be very wrong. But let's see what we got. Hold on. Wait, I can't swipe and do this at the same time, so I can't do the reveal live. But I promise you, I'm not doing anything. Ooh. Okay, so the guesses were 13,330, 12,666, 12,345. The closest to the actual number was D, who was impeccably close. But the closest without going over was Janet Johnson. Dun, dun, dun. The number is, hold on, 13,186. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. And D guessed 13,330. So she was only off by, if I had walked up the stairs, she would have probably basically gotten it almost spot on. Take bigger steps. I don't take big steps because I'm 5'8". All right, y'all. Thank you for joining me on this 75-minute live that you could hear and see clearly. Sponsored by iPhone. Not really sponsored by iPhone because I definitely paid decent money. Not crazy money, but I paid decent money for that iPhone. It's refurbished and it's still working this good. All right, so like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I might be back later if something interesting is happening, but my guess is that nothing super interesting is going to be happening. I'm on here another few minutes because I have to grab something from my car. But my guess is that nothing interesting is going to happen. Interesting to me, because I guess interesting is relative to the person. If I don't think anything interesting is happening, aka if nothing new or exciting to me is happening, I won't be back tonight. But you never know. Never know. Never know. Do. And please make sure to liketh, commenteth, and subscribeth to the channel. And thanks for your support, y'all. The support is why I keep coming back. I'm telling you, all it takes is one person. I have to give credit to, I want to say Holly. Holly was my first subscriber. Holly was my first subscriber on my music and mental health channel. She was the first one on my live ever. And when I used to speak to Holly on a regular basis, I haven't spoken to Holly in over a year, but when she used to be the number one subscriber on my channel, I remember when I had my last live of the Big Brother 24 season, and the number of people that I had in my chat at that time was like, I think 443. And I just assumed that I'm going to get in the off season. I didn't think that I would have chats with 443 people, but I thought I would have 60, 70, 80, 100 even, because I was getting, more than 100 every single night. I would jump on, I'm at an instant 80 with no algorithm. So I was like, this is just going to continue throughout the off season. And I did a live the next day, and it had 12 people on it. And Holly and also Van Hoot were two people when I was talking about, that was a blow to the ego, I'll be honest with you. To go from a live of 443 people to a live of like 8 to 10 was like, wow, these people only cared about Big Brother, not me. And then I remember Van Hoot and Holly both telling me at different times, sometimes your few dedicated subscribers can mean a lot more than the big, huge number that doesn't really support you like that. And that's what I found. I like the extra few people that always show up, During the season, it's cool and it's fun, but then my life exists 9 more months when Big Brother is off. And those people all disappear into the shadows. And there's nothing wrong with being like a Big Brother only fan, but it just made me think and realize like I have to appreciate the people who stay all year round, as few as they are, you know. So if you are one of those people in that category, thank you, which you pretty much probably are if you're on this live. And like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. Thank y'all, and have an amazing night. Oh, Ma's stealing the HOH from Janet.